Dear students, welcome to the first part of your new module, Module 5, Probability. Okay. Which are the topics included in your syllabus under this module? First, we have Introduction, then Sample Space and Events, Axioms of Probability, Addition and Multiplication Theorems, Conditional Probability, Bayes Theorem, and related problems. So this is the syllabus of your module 5. So before going to the actual syllabus, before starting this probability topic, we need some basic idea about the set theory. You already studied set theory in your lower classes. Once again, just recall the definitions and some of the terms which we are going to use under set theory. So what is a set? All of you know. Set is a collection of some items or collection of elements. Okay. And we use the notation capital letter A, B, C, etc. for the sets. So remember this. And how to represent a set. To represent a set, actually we have 2 to 3 methods. One method is called as listing. That means we are writing the elements of the set as a list using curly brackets, using this type of brackets. These are called as curly brackets. Okay. And another method we are very rarely using in this chapter, that is called as the property method. By writing the property of the elements taken by the set A, you can write that set. For example, set A equal to set of all x such that x is an integer. That type of method. But anyway, we are not using that property method here. We are going to use only this type of method or the Venn diagram method. Okay, I will explain you about Venn diagram later. Now, what is a subset? A set A is a subset of another set B if every element of A is also an element of B. Okay, so elements of A are also in the set B. We use this notation. We read it as A is a subset of B. So this notation indicates the subset. Similarly, we can say that B is a superset of A. A is a subset of B or B is a superset of A. We use this notation for superset. And if you have a set with no elements in that set, that is called as null set. Null set, or we also use a term called empty set. Okay, and we use this notation for null set. Either we use the notation phi or set without any elements. Okay, curly brackets without any elements inside that. And universal set U, or we also use the notation yes, especially in probability. Universal set means we take it as yes. The universal set U is the set of all things or collection of all items. Okay, and thus every set A is a subset of the universal set. So remember all these definitions: set, subset, and how to represent a subset, how to write a null set, and what is the meaning of universal set. Next, how to define union of two sets. Now if you have A and B two sets, then A union B is a set containing all elements that are in A or in B or both. Okay. In the diagram you can see here elements inside A, elements inside B, as well as elements common to both A and B. This part is actually common to both A and B. So all these elements are included in your A union B. This type of diagram is called as Venn diagram. Here this outer set, this square bracket, is a universal set. Here I have denoted it as S, and these two A and B are subsets of S. You can see that all elements of A are also in S. So A is a subset of S. Similarly, B is a subset of S. What about A union B? all elements belonging to these two sets. A union B is also a subset of yes. So one example, just to understand this union, I have given one example here. If you have 1 comma 3 union set containing 2 3 4, so which are the elements belonging to union? Either elements belongs to A or elements belongs to B or both. So it is nothing but set containing 1 2 3 4. Okay. So thus we can say that X belongs to A union B if and only if X belongs to A or X belongs to B. Okay. Note that A union B also can be written as B union A. So your order is not important. A union B or B union A both are equivalent. Okay. So this is the Venn diagram of A union B. Now how to write the intersection of two sets? We use this notation A intersection B. Actually, A intersection B is a set which contains elements of both A and B. That means common to both A and B. So, intersection of two sets A and B consists of all elements that are both in A and B. So, we are not simply writing the elements of A and B. It should be common. So, for example, see the set here 1, 2, 4, 5 and 2, 3, 5. See the elements which are common to both only 2 and 5. Okay. So, clearly this is the intersection of A and B. Now, in the Venn diagram, you can easily understand this is the set A and this is the set B. So, this shaded portion, the middle portion is common to both A and B. So, this is the Venn diagram of A intersection B. What is meant by complement of a set A? We use the notation A complement, or either we write AC or A complement. It is set of all elements that are in the universal set S but are not in A. Okay. So in the Venn diagram you can see elements which are in universal set, in your universal set, but not inside A. So this portion, the shaded portion, represents the complement of the set A. As an example, if you take universal set, okay, as I told you, either we write U, in set theory usually we write U, and in probability theory we write it as S. So let S equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and let A equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what is A complement? A complement is, okay, actually here curly bracket is required. So set containing, so include the curly bracket here, which are the elements not in A from the universal set. Not in A means 1, 2, 3, 4 are in universal set. So except these four elements, which are the remaining elements 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So set containing curly bracket 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This gives you the complement of the set A. So remember the Venn diagram, how to represent the complement in the Venn diagram. Okay, region which is outside A, that is A complement. Next, what is meant by difference? Actually, it looks like a subtraction, but we don't call it as subtraction. We call it as difference A minus B or relative complement. One more name. A minus B consists of all elements that are in A but not in B. That are in A but not in B. Actually, it is called as relative complement. We write complement of A relative to the set B. Just like your universal set, elements of A which are in elements of A but not in B. Now, this A minus B can also be represented by A intersection B complement. What is the meaning? B complement means elements which are outside B. A means elements which are inside A. So, elements which are inside A but outside B. So, this region in your shaded portion in Venn diagram, this is the region which represents A intersection B complement. Okay, which are outside B but inside A. One example just to understand. A is 1, 2, 3, 4, sorry 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. and B is 3, 5. Okay. So elements of A which are not in B are only 1, 2 and 6. So this is A minus B. So remember another notation is A intersection B complement. Similar to this, we can also define B intersection A complement. How to define B intersection A complement? Then we write elements which are in B but not in A. Okay. Here I have shaded only A intersection B complement. Similarly, you can write B intersection A complement. So remember this, we are using this in your probability theory. Now two sets A and B are said to be disjoint or mutually exclusive if they do not have any common elements. That means their intersection will be a null set. Okay. De Morgan's law, we are using this in the theory of probability. A intersection B complement is equal to A complement union B complement. That means complement of intersection equal to union of complements, one rule. And second rule, De Morgan's rule, A union B whole complement equal to A complement intersection B complement. So remember this rule of set theory. And distributive rule. Distributive rule is A intersection B union C is equal to A intersection B union A intersection C. A union B intersection C equal to A union B intersection A union C. So remember, only I have mentioned here the rules which we are going to use. Actually, there are many other rules in set theory. I have included only the rules which we are going to use. Now, let us come to the actual syllabus probability theory. Basic definitions of probability theory. The first definition, random experiment. An experiment is called as a random experiment if we cannot predict the outcome of that experiment. Okay, so when its outcome cannot be predicted precisely, that type of experiments are called as random experiments. Simple example is tossing a coin. You don't know whether you are going to get head or tail. Or tossing a six-faced die. Okay, when you toss a six-faced die, you don't know whether you are going to get the outcome as 1 or outcome as 2, etc. So we cannot predict the outcome precisely. So when you perform a random experiment once, then it is called as a trial. Okay, so if you are tossing a coin once, it is one trial. If you are tossing a coin twice, it is considered as two trials. So when you perform the random experiment once, it is called as a trial. Outcome means it is a possible result of the experiment. So when you perform a random experiment, you are going to get some outcome. When you toss a coin, which are the outcomes? You will get head, H, or you will get tail, T. So these are H and T are taken as outcomes of the experiment of tossing a coin once. Sample space. As I told you, under set theory, we use a term called as universal set. Here we use the term sample space. Sample space is set of all possible outcomes. Set of all possible outcomes of the random experiment. It is just like the universal set of your set theory. And we use the notation S, and elements of this S are also called as sample points. Event is a subset of the sample space. Okay, that's why I gave you the definitions of subset before this. What is the meaning of subset? A is said to be a subset of B if every element of A is also in B. Same idea we use here. Event is a subset of sample space means every element of this event is also in your sample space. Okay, and just like your set theory, we use the notation capital letter A, B, C, etc. for the events. If the event contains all elements of the sample space, then it is denoted by S itself. Okay, and we call it as certain event, sure event or certain event. Okay, it is 100% guarantee. And phi is the impossible event. As I told you, in set theory we are using the notation phi for null set. So here same meaning, impossible event, that means it does not have any elements. It is impossible event or null event. Some examples just to understand the random experiment. When you toss a coin once, which are the possible outcomes? You will get head H or tail T. Then what is the sample space here? When you list all possible outcomes, you get the sample space. So here sample space is equal to set containing H comma T. And clearly this is a finite sample space. You have only finite number of elements. And which are the events? That means which are the subsets of this sample space. Okay. Null set is always a subset of every set. Remember that result under set theory. Null set is always a subset of every other set. So phi is a subset of this. Set containing only H is also a subset of this. Set containing only T. Here set notation is required. Here also set notation is required. Set containing only T is also a subset of S. And anyway, S itself is a subset of S, sure event. So there are 4 possible events. Okay. Another example, same tossing a coin. Instead of once, now I am tossing the coin twice. Then which are the outcomes? All outcomes if you list. Your sample space contains HH, HT, TH and TT. Now there are 4 elements in this sample space. If you write any subset of this, it will be an event. But how many such subsets are possible? You will get a very big list, because if there are n elements in a sample space, then there are 2 raised to n subsets, remember. So here in this problem, there are 4 elements in the sample space. That means you are going to get 2 raised to 4. That means 16 events. Okay, either you can try to list all 16 subsets of this. Out of them, out of 16, only 14 are proper subsets. Remaining 2 are null set and sure event, S. Anyway, and actually phi is considered as a proper subset of every set. So out of 16, 15 are proper subsets. Only S is the full set. Some events I have listed here. Just go through this. Some events out of 16, these are few events. So you can write a subset containing only one element, or subset containing 2 elements, or you can write subset containing 3 elements, like that. When you list, you get totally 16 events. Third example, if you are tossing a coin 3 times, thrice, then what will be the sample space? Write all possible outcomes. Okay, that gives you the sample space. So if you list one after the other, take your own time, try to list these outcomes yourself. You get S equal to TTT, TTH, THT, HTT, THH, HTH, HHT, HHH. Okay, and totally 8 outcomes are there in the sample space. So if you are trying to write the subsets, there will be totally 2 to the power 8 subsets. Every subset will be an event. Anyway, 2 to the power 8 is a large number. Here I have listed only 3 events. One event containing single element, another event containing 3 elements, another event containing 2 elements are written here. Okay, like this there are 2 to the power 8 events. Now consider a well-known example. When you toss a die, 6-faced die, it is in the form of a cube. The shape of the die is a cube. All sides are square sides. Okay. So you get 6 outcomes. Usually mathematically we write the 6 outcomes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Actually these are the possible faces you obtain when you toss a 6-faced die. So how many subsets are there for this sample space? There are 6 elements, means 2 raised to 6 subsets are possible. All subsets are events. So some events I have listed here. Okay, set containing only 1, 3, 5. It is one event. Another event set containing only 6. You can write a third event set containing 3, 4, 5. Okay. Like this there are 2 to the power 6 subsets. So I think now the concept of sample space and event are clear to you. Now what is meant by equally likely events? Equally likely events means, actually roughly speaking, they have equal chance of appearance. They don't have any difference in their chances. Okay, equal chances. If you are tossing a coin, for example, you may get head or you may get tail. Do you have any preference for getting head than getting tail? No. Both faces are having equal chance of occurrence. Okay. And if you, when you toss a 6-faced die, there are 6 faces. Every face has equal chance of occurrence. Okay. You may get 1, you may get 2, like this till the face 6. Every face has equal chance of occurrence. So these are equally likely events. Okay. Now one example just to tell you where they are not equally likely. For example, in the previous case here, this event in the tossing of a die, this event is containing 1, 3, 5, 3 elements, and this event is containing only one element, 6. Clearly these two are not equally likely. Okay, these two are not equally likely. But in this case, when you toss a fair coin, head and tail are equally likely. And in this case, while throwing a fair die, the events A equal to 2, 4, 6, B equal to 1, 3, 5, and C equal to 1, 2, 3. These 3 events are equally likely. They have equal number of elements. Clearly, the chance of occurrence will be same. Mutually exclusive events. Under set theory, we used the term disjoint sets. When you say that two sets are disjoint, they do not have any common element. Same idea we use here. Two or more events are mutually exclusive if one of them can occur at a time. Only one of them can occur at a time. So both events cannot occur together. That's the meaning. So when you toss a coin, you cannot get both heads and tails together. Either you will get only head or you will get only tail. So those two are mutually exclusive events. And in other words, in mathematically we use this notation. Their intersection will be null set. There is no comma element between them. So here I have given the example. Tossing a coin, head and tail are mutually exclusive. When you toss a die, these 3 events are mutually exclusive. A intersection B is null set. You don't have common element. B intersection C is null set. Similarly, A intersection C is null set. So these 3 events are mutually exclusive. Now we will come to the mathematical definition of probability. How do you define a probability? If there are n exhaustive, mutually exclusive and equally likely cases in a random experiment, okay, there are totally n cases, out of which m are favorable to an event A. Totally there are n cases, out of them only m are favorable to an event A. Then probability, or we also use a word chance. Probability of happening of A is given by number of favorable cases divided by number of total possible cases. It is given by the ratio m by n. Okay. And as there are m cases are favorable, out of total n, only m are favorable. Clearly remaining n minus m will be not favorable. Okay. So n minus m cases are not favorable to the event A. That means they are favorable to the event A complement. Other than A means remaining part is A complement. Then chance of not happening of event A, that means chance of A complement is given by n minus m by n. So for A complement, these are favorable cases. For A, m are favorable cases. For A complement, n minus m are favorable cases. Divided by total cases are same in both cases, n, which is 1 minus m by n. You can say that it is 1 minus p of A. So P of A complement is equal to 1 minus P of A. It is a standard result. Or if you shift this P of A to left side, you get P of A plus P of A complement is equal to 1. Remember, we use either A with the prefix C or we will use A bar. So both notations are used for complement of an event. When you work out the problems, you can easily understand these definitions. Okay, so let us work out some problems now. Simple problems. We will first start with only simple problems. Odds in favor of an event means one more condition which we may use in some problems. Odds favorable to an event means usually this type of ratio will be given to you. M is to n. Meaning is total cases are m plus n. Out of total m plus n, only m are favorable to the event A and remaining n are not favorable to the event A. That's the meaning. So odds favorable to event A means the first entry is taken as favorable to A, m, and total m plus n. So when you write the probability, you need to write like this, m by m plus n. Okay. And odds against A means A complement. Change the order. Instead of m is to n, we write it as n is to m or n to m. Okay. So what will be the probability of A complement in this case? We write n in the numerator and denominator will be n plus m. So just remember this. When I work out the problems with this term odds, I will explain you again. Now let us start with the simple problems. Find the chance of throwing or rolling, you can say, 4 and an even number with an ordinary 6-faced die. Okay, what you have to do? Experiment is tossing a die, throwing a die or rolling a die or tossing a die. You can use any word. So when you throw a 6-faced die, which are the outcomes? List them. You get 6 outcomes. Okay. So total number of cases are n equal to 6. Out of these n equal to 6, how many are favorable to get 4? How many are favorable to get only this event 4, set containing only 4? Only 1. So out of this, the number of outcomes favorable to get 4 is only 1, m equal to 1. So go back to the definition of probability. What was our definition? P of A equal to m by n. We use this probability definition. So here m by n means 1 by 6. Similarly, second question, an even number occurs. Even number occurs means you take, which are the even numbers here? 2, 4 and 6. So how many cases are favorable to get even number? 3. Total cases are 6. So 3 out of 6. You get 1 by 2. A very simple problem. Only you have to count how many total cases are there and how many favorable cases are there. Favorable cases comes in the numerator and number of possible total possible cases comes in the denominator. So very simple problem. Next question. Find the probability of getting 3 or 5 in throwing a die. Once again, similar question. First list all the possible outcomes, elements of the sample space. So totally how many cases are there? N equal to 6. This is your denominator of probability. Now try to find the numerator. Take let A equal to, event A equal to getting 3 or 6. That means set containing 3, 6. How many outcomes are here in this set? Number of elements 2. So number of favorable cases m equal to 2. Therefore, P of A equal to m by n. Okay, correct this. This should be m by n. So denominator is n, not m. Please correct it. This is a typing error. M by n. Answer is 2 by 6. M is 2 and n is 6. So 1 by 3. You can write only this as the answer, or you can simplify and write. Anyway, you are using the calculator. Both forms of answers are acceptable. 1 by 3 or 0.33. Next example. This is taken from one of your recent old question paper. A pair of dice is tossed. Find the probability of scoring 7 points. What is meant by scoring 7 points? You first write all possible outcomes when you are tossing a die. Okay, here actually I have listed, that list is not visible. Okay, can you tell me how many elements are there in your sample space? When you toss a die twice, pair of die. Okay, two dice together. When you toss two dice, which are the outcomes here? You may get first die shows 1, again second die shows 1. First die shows 1, second die shows 2. Like this, 1 1, 1 2, 1 3, 1 4, etc. 1 6. Then 2 1, 2 2, 2 3, etc. 2 6. Actually, the list is not visible here, it continues here. You just write down in your notes 2 1, 2 2, 2 3, 2 4, etc. 2 6. Then 3 1, 3 2, 3 3, 3 4, 3 5, 3 6. Then 4 1, 4 2, 4 3, 4 4, 4 5, 4 6. Then 5 1, 5 2, 5 3, 5 4, 5 5, 5 6. Since it is not visible, I am just giving you all elements. Next, 6 1, 6 2, 6 3, 6 4, 6 5, 6 6. You prepare a list yourself. So how many elements are there in that list? Total you can count and check. There will be 6 into 6, 36 outcomes. How to count like this? How to find this? 6 outcomes in the first die and 6 outcomes in the second die. You are performing both works. Both dice you are tossing. So 6 into 6. Both means and. Okay. Or means we usually use addition. And means we use multiplication. Remember it. It is a principle of counting. So there are 36 total outcomes. Out of these, how many are favorable to get this event? What is your event now? Scoring 7 points. So take A equal to score is 7. What is meant by score here? Score means sum. Okay. So when you find the sum equal to 7, which of the outcomes? List them. 1, 6 is there. 2, 5 is there. 3, 4 is there. 4, 3, 5, 2, 6, 1. Count them totally. There are 7 cases. Correct? No. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 6 cases. So totally there are 6 cases. Now substitute. Hence, number of favorable cases m equal to 6. Therefore, probability of A equal to m by n. So correct this. This should be n. This should be n. M by n means 6 by 36. You get 1 by 6. That is the answer. Okay, very simple question asked in recent question paper. Next, 2 dice are rolled. Similar to previous example. Find the probability that the score on the second die is greater than the score on the first die. Okay, here see the list. As I told you in the previous example, that list after this 2 4 it is not visible since I have taken a single row. But here this way is better always. So write the elements in this form. So what is the sample space? There are 36 outcomes. 1 1 1 2 1 3 etc. up to 1 6. Similarly 2 1 to 6 2 6. 3 1 to 3 6. 4 1 to 4 6. 5 1 to 5 6 and 6 1 to 6 6. You can calculate. Totally there are 36 outcomes. So n equal to 36. Denominator of your probability is 36. Now what is your event? Find the probability that score on the second die is greater than score on the first die. That means your second entry in your outcome, second entry should be greater than first entry. How many such outcomes are there? List them. So I have taken A equal to score on the second die greater than score on the first die. So start from 1 1 is not possible because equal entries. 1 2 is okay. Second entry is more than first entry. 1 3 is okay. 1 4, 1 5, 1 6 are okay. Similarly, from second row, you start from here. 2 3. 3 is greater than 2. So like this, list all elements in which second entry is more than first entry. After listing them, count how many such entries are there. We can see that there are 15 such entries. Just verify yourself. There are 15 such entries. This is your numerator, m. Remember, total possibilities without any condition is your denominator, and favorable means with the condition, with this condition, that is your numerator. So probability is 15 by 36, m divided by n, 15 by 36. Simplify and write. Directly you can use the calculator. Answer is 0.42. Next example. Find the probability that a leap year selected at random will contain 53 Sundays. You know that a leap year means it contains 29 days in February month. As you know, 29. In all other years, there are only 28 days in February month. But in the leap year, there will be 29 days in the month of February. So totally leap year contains 366 days. Okay, 366 days. And when you find the number of weeks out of these 366 days, how to find? There are 52 full weeks. How to obtain this 52? Divide 366 by 7. 1 week means 7 days. Divide 360 by 7. But 366 is not divisible by 7 actually. So which is the highest value less than 366 divisible by 7? 364 is divisible by 7. You can check it. So when you divide 364 by 7, you get 52. And remaining 2 remainder, that is 2 extra days. So out of 366 days, you get 52 weeks and 2 extra days. 52 full weeks means clearly 52 Sundays are available. What is the question? Leap year contains 53 Sundays. Clearly 52 Sundays are available. Now we need only one more extra Sunday. Now here 2 extra days are available. Clearly these 2 extra days will be consecutive days. So either they will be in the form Monday, Tuesday. Another possibility Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, Friday. Friday, Saturday. Saturday, Sunday. Sunday, Monday. Correct? When you list all possibilities, how many total possibilities are there? Like your elements of sample space. Here we are not writing the set yes. Instead of that we are listing. So there are totally 7 possibilities. But out of these 7 possibilities, which possibility gives you Sunday, extra Sunday? Already 52 Sundays are there. We need one more Sunday to get 53 Sundays. So this possibility, Saturday and Sunday, this gives you Sunday. Again here also you get one Sunday. So totally 2 outcomes are favorable to get one more Sunday. So 2 out of 7. Probability is 2 out of 7. Very standard problem which is selected from very recent question paper. Next question. There are 10 students of which 3 are graduates. If a committee of 5 is to be formed, what is the probability that there are only 2 graduates, at least 2 graduates? So when a question is given like this, first try to understand the question. Totally there are 10 students. There are 10 students. But out of 10 students, it is given that 3 are graduates. 3 are graduates means it is understood that remaining, how many are remaining? 7. 3 are graduates means 7 are non-graduates. It is understood. Now you have to select a committee of 5 students. Whenever selection comes in your question, selecting, okay, we use combinations. Remember, we are selecting 5 members to form a committee to be formed. So to form a committee, we need to select 5 students. Whenever we use the term selection, we make use of combination. You can see in your calculator there is a key NCR. Actually NCR means R items selected out of N items, meaning. So here we have to select 5 students out of total 10 students. Without any condition we are selecting. We don't know whether they are graduates or non-graduates. So how many ways you can do this? 10C5. Just like your NCR, we are selecting 5 students out of 10 in 10C5 ways. Directly use the calculator. You calculate this 10C5. You get 252. This is actually denominator of your probability. Total possibilities. All possibilities. Okay, in such cases we are not writing the sample space. Okay, it takes much time to write the sample space with the 252 elements. So in such cases we directly count. So 252 elements are there in your sample space. Next, out of this, what is your first question? Only 2 are graduates. We are selecting 5 students, but what is the condition? Only 2 are graduates. That means remaining 3 are non-graduates. To get only 2 graduates, we select 2 graduates and remaining 3 non-graduates. How many ways you can do this? 2 graduates you have to select. Totally how many graduates are there? In the question it is mentioned 3. So out of 3 graduates, we have to select 2 graduates. So this can be done in 3C2 ways. Selection. And I have underlined the word and here purposely. And means we multiply. Remember, and means we multiply. So one is this possibility, and we can select 3 non-graduates out of 7 non-graduates. 7 are non-graduates. We have to select 3 non-graduates. So it can be done in 7C3 ways. That means 35 ways. Now combine these two. 2 graduates and 3 non-graduates can be selected in 3 into 35 ways. And so we multiply 105 ways. So out of 252 total cases, 105 cases are favorable to the event. So write the ratio. 105 divided by 252. You get the answer. Second question. What is the second question? At least 2 are graduates. Remember, the meaning of at least 2 means least value is 2. Okay, it is exactly 2 means only 2. Here, first question, only 2 means exactly 2, no change. But at least 2 means least value is 2. That means number of graduates will be 2 or more than 2. Okay, so you have to consider all possibilities. So to get at least 2 graduates, we have following possibilities. Which are the possibilities? Either 2 are graduates. 2 are graduates means out of 5 means clearly remaining 3 are non-graduates. 2 are graduates and 3 are non-graduates. One possibility. Or at least 2 means it need not be exactly 2, it may be more than 2. So more than 2 means 3. 3 are graduates and remaining 2 are non-graduates. And more than 3 you cannot consider. Why? Because there are only 3 graduates as per the question. Okay, you cannot consider more than 3. Now consider the possibilities. 2 are graduates. There are 3 graduates in the set. So 3 out of 3 we are selecting 2. And 3 are non-graduates. Out of 7 non-graduates we are selecting 3. Or means we write plus. 3 are graduates. 3 are graduates means there are only 3 graduates. Out of 3 we are selecting all 3. 3C3. And into 2 are non-graduates. 2 are non-graduates means out of 7 we are selecting 2. So calculate, using the calculator you calculate this, you will get the answer 126. This 126 is the number of favorable cases. And denominator is without any condition we already obtained. Without any condition we obtained. Totally out of 10 students we are selecting 5 students. That can be done in 252 ways. So write 126 by 252. You get the answer 0.5. A very good example selected from recent question paper. Next question. Once again, which is selected from your recent question paper. From 6 positive and 8 negative numbers, 4 numbers are chosen at random without replacement and multiplied. What is the chance that, probability that product is a positive number? So totally how many numbers are there? It is mentioned that there are 6 positive and 8 negative numbers. So without any condition means 6 plus 8, total 40 numbers are there. Just like your previous example, graduates and non-graduates, just like that here 6 are positive and 8 are negative, totally 14 numbers. Total number of selecting, what is the question? 4 numbers are chosen at random. So in how many ways you can select 4 numbers out of these 14 without any condition? We can select in 14 C4 ways, combinations. Okay, calculate using the calculator, it gives you 1001. Now what is the condition here? What is the probability that product is a positive number? To get product of 4 numbers as positive, you have the following possibilities now. List all possibility. Either your all 4 numbers are positive. Selected all 4 numbers are positive. One possibility. Or all 4 numbers are negative. Then also your product will be positive. Okay. Or third possibility is 2 of them are positive and 2 are negative. In that case also your product is negative. Sorry, product is positive. Remember, you cannot select 3 positive and 1 negative here. Okay, in that case product becomes negative. To get product as positive, here number of negative terms should be even anyway. So 2 are positive and 2 are negative. Now count each possibility. 4 numbers are positive. How many ways you can select them? Totally how many positive numbers are there? 6. Out of 6, we are selecting 4 numbers. That means 6 is 4. Okay. So the answer is 15. Second possibility, all 4 numbers are negative. Okay. You can directly calculate all the 3 terms. I have calculated each term separately. All 4 numbers are negative means how many negative numbers are there? 8 negative numbers. Out of 8 negative numbers, select 4. 8C4. Calculate it. 70. Next possibility, 2 of them are positive and 2 are negative. And means we multiply. 2 are positive. Totally how many positive are there? 6. Out of 6 select 2 and into 2 are negative. Out of 8 negative select 2. 8C2. Calculator. Use the calculator and calculate this. You get the answer 420. Now either this possibility is there or this possibility or this possibility. Or means we add all the possibilities. So favorable cases are 15 plus 70 plus 420. Or means we are adding. You get 505. So what is the product now? Probability that product is positive equal to 505 favorable cases divided by 1001 total cases. M divided by N. Your mathematical definition of probability. Recall that formula each and every time. Number of favorable cases divided by number of possible cases. Okay. Now just for your practice, today we discussed only simple problems, but if you can understand this, if you understand the basic concepts and simple problems, then you can easily understand the remaining problems of this chapter. Okay. So practice problem for you. This is selected from the question paper. You just write very simple question. A 6-faced die on which the numbers 1 to 6 are marked is thrown. Okay. Find the probability of getting 3. Similar problem is worked out. Find the probability of getting odd number. Okay, you can easily answer this. And this type of problem is also worked out. So I have given same type of questions for your practice. In a company of 20 people, 5 are graduates. That means remaining 15 are non-graduates. 3 people are to be selected at random. That means for a committee. What is the probability that at least one of them is graduate? Remember, similar problem is worked out. Here at least one means it may be one or more than one. Maybe one or more than one. So write all possibilities and count them. Okay, so today I will stop here. In our next session, we will work out some more problems. Okay, some advanced problems. Then we will go to the axiomatic definition of probability. Thank you.